Started. Welcome everyone. We're going to continue our work with fractions. So we're going to start right away. Let's go ahead and read our learning target. Today we're going to, like I said, continue our work with fractions, but we're going to use fraction bars and number lines today to represent fractions. So if you are at home, you will need those fraction bars. Abby, right here, please, that I sent home. They're colored construction paper strips. Make sure you have those handy. The reason we are going to work on this is so we can solve real world math problems that involve fractions. And I was so thrilled today. Renee mentioned to me that they bought a new house in Texas, and she said her mom's ripping out the carpet and putting in tile, and how her mom has to use area and perimeter. And that just made me so happy that she made the connection between real life and what we do here in math. And it's the same thing with fractions. Be thinking about fractions when you go home, when you cut that pie for dinner, or when you share something, or when you are measuring something, because you'll see, wow, I really do need to understand how fractions work, right? And Cerne's got that. I'm so proud of you. So your success criteria, we're going to use fraction bars to represent fractions. We're going to use number lines to represent fractions less than 1, and number lines to represent fractions greater than 1. It might take us 2 lessons to get through all this, but maybe not. We'll see how we do. So yesterday's exit ticket, I'm sharing those at conferences, as is Mrs. Harrison. And I think, Gavin, this might be what you were talking about, not being able to edit. That's okay, because I knew we'd go over it. Actually, the answer to our exit ticket is right here in our math vocabulary. Remember, a fraction is a number that names part of a whole or part of a set. We talked about part of a whole so far. The unit fraction is what I asked you to explain yesterday as your exit ticket. And that is just a fraction whose numerator is 1. It shows 1 equal part of a whole. Okay, remember the numerator. Now, yes, I think this morning with my graph, we had trouble with that word, right, Robert? Kept saying, the number up top. The number up top is, the number up top is called the numerator. And then the number below is the denominator. Denominator, D for down, is how I remember it. Numerator shows the number of equal parts being counted or shaded. We were shading yesterday. Denominator is the total number of parts in the fraction, in the whole thing. How many equal parts are there total? All right, I have a book that I'm going to share with you, and it is about fractions. It's called Fraction Action, and I might not read the whole thing today, but I wanted to, let's see if I can move this. I wanted to share it with you because it really shows you that real world connection that Cerne and I had with area and perimeter today. So make sure I have whole body listening. Some of you have your highlighters out, your pencils out. I want to see your hands so I know I've got your whole body listening, okay? Thank you. I know this is important, so I want you to be listening. This is a book called Fraction Action by Laureen Leedy. And this has got to be an old book. It was published in 1994. 1994. Let's do some mental math. How old is this book? If it was published in 1994, it is now 2021. Gabe, what do you think? 36. Not quite. 1994. You got to go from 1994 to 2000 first. How many years would that be? 2021. Correct. But how many years would that be, Gabe?
27.
No, 94 to 2000. Let's all count. 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000. So we've got 6 years here. And then it's 21, right? Because it's 2021 plus 21 years. What would you get?
27.
Ben Bowers, you were right. 27 years. Well done. This is an old book, but it still is a good one. Fraction action. One morning, Miss Prime turned off all the lights in the classroom. Okay, everybody, watch the screen and you'll see how to draw a fraction. You can tell this is old because of the pictures, right? We don't use projectors anymore. Start with a whole shape, then make it into 2 equal parts. Each part is called what? 1/2. Now let's think of some fractions in real life. Use your imagination to make a picture in your mind of what I say. So you guys do it too. See if you can picture it. A tuna sandwich cut in half. I know, how many of you like yours cut with 2 rectangles? How many of you like your sandwiches cut with 2 triangles? Yeah, what about 4 triangles? 4 squares? Now it's funny because I do mine in rectangles, but my husband was raised with triangles. So my kids were really conflicted. What about a half a glass of juice? You ever heard someone say just a half a glass, right? We use this in real life. Maybe you're trying to cut back on your calories. A bowl of ice cream that is half vanilla and half chocolate. Now that doesn't sound like you're cutting down, but maybe I only want half a scoop. I'm getting hungry. So there's some real life examples of fractions. It's time for you to tell me about some halves. What can you imagine, Otto? I'm thinking of a warm muffin cut in half. Good. Next, we will hear ideas from Tally, Ginger, and Faye. My piggy bank is half full. Half my garden has flowers and the other half has vegetables. Maybe the cow jumped over half a moon. That's clever. Terrific. Now let's look at another fraction. 1/3. Now think about this, boys and girls. These are all unit fractions, right? That we've seen so far with the 1 as the numerator and different denominators. Here is the whole shape. I'll make 3 equal parts. Each part is called 1/3. These are some other shapes made into thirds. Now notice they're all equal, right? If they were not equal, Evie, they would not be thirds, right? They have to be equal. Who can imagine some thirds? What about you, Sadie? A beach towel with 3 big stripes. Fantastic. Anyone else? I'm imagining a cookie broken into 3 pieces. A flower with 3 petals. My wallet has 3 sections. A jester's hat. So again, real life examples. Great. I have one more fraction today. 1/4. Start with the whole shape. Make 4 equal parts. Each part is called 1/4. These are more shapes made into fourths. Now see again, these are the same. They're equal. Fair shares. If they're not equal, then they're not fractions. We can't even do it. Yeah, let's imagine some fourths. A hot dog cut into 4 pieces. A dollar bill folded into fourths. A cracker with 4 sections. A 4-leaf clover. A pie cut into 4 slices. Those are excellent ideas. We're out of time for now, but here's one more question. Which fraction is the smallest? 1/2, 1/3, or 1/4? Stand up if you think 1/2 is the smallest. Stand up if you think 1/3 is the smallest. Stand up if you think 1/4 is the smallest. If you are standing right now, you are correct. Haley Booker, why is 1/4 the smallest? Listen to Haley.
If you do 1/2, it's only 2 pieces, and if it's 1/3, then it's only 3 pieces. But and they're all ones. And if you do 1/4, it's the biggest one, and if you take one away, it's the smallest.
All right, well, it's not the biggest one, it's the smallest because look here. If you have a cookie and you are dividing it into 2 equal parts and you're sharing with one other person, you're going to get half. But if you are going to have a cookie and you have to share it with 2 other people besides yourself and there's 3 of you, your pieces get smaller. So then if you have to divide it up between 4 people, you're getting less and less, right? So when that denominator, when it's a unit fraction and that denominator is greater, then the fraction is actually smaller. The bigger the denominator, the smaller the amount. 1/16 of a cookie, would that be very big? No, because you'd be sharing one little cookie with 15 other people besides yourself. You get one little tiny sliver. Okay, so I won't read that whole book because I will read it as we go through our unit. But that just kind of was a good review from yesterday on unit fractions. Let's move on. So we are going to make fraction bars. You are going to need strips of paper. So I'm going to be passing out strips of paper. I'm going to ask you to start with a green strip. So we'll just do one at a time and I can pass out some down here if you want to pass out there. I'll do your class. So get your green strip of paper. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Nice manners, everybody. Anybody?
I'm glad to hear that because we have been working on that in my room.
That was really nice. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and use my document camera. You are going to use this green strip and we are going to divide this in half. So watch first. Ready, August? Watch and look and listen and learn. We're going to divide this in half into 2 equal parts. Any ideas, Lucas, how I might do that? How might I do that? Fold it. Get your folding fingers ready. We are going to take one end of our strip and match it to the other and fold it right there. Good idea, Lucas. And then we should have 2 equal, I don't care what color's next. If you're,
It doesn't matter. I just give them the second graders.
oh, do you want to give them? Yeah.
Just give them all at once so I don't have to do it.
You are smart. Now we are going to take our pencil. You are going to draw a line on that fold. And we're going to label our unit fractions. Each section is 1/2, or we say 1/2, correct?
That's the red one, sorry. Oh,
Do you need anything else? Okay, give me a thumbs up when you have your 2 fractions. Notice if I added 1/2 plus 1/2, I would have 2 halves or 1 whole. That is the whole strip, right? But when I divide it up into 2 equal parts, I have 1/2 plus 1/2. Okay, I'm going to ask you to get your yellow strip out next. Yeah, I'm talking to my remote.
This is a Jimmy. This is a Western.
Sabrina.
Get some corn. Oh, I think the corn. I think it looks better when I was folded like that. Look.
Nice. So let me get you one.
Wait, we fold this. Wait, like a million times. That's like. I bet you we're gonna make
Don't fold it. I haven't given directions yet.
Wait, I want to make corn.
All right. Anybody not get a yellow strip? All right. Do you want to start these and just set them or no?
Oh, yeah.
All right. With the yellow strip, we are going to divide it into thirds. Any ideas how we would do that? It's not as easy as doing halves. Gabe, what are you thinking? Don't do it yet, please, because a lot of you are doing it wrong. Stop. Stop and listen. So look at all those, right? You need to listen. Well, that would be fourths. We don't want fourths. What are you thinking, Josh Carter? So halves, we don't want halves. We want thirds. All right. So this is hard. You're going to have to eyeball it a little bit, but I'll show, just watch first. Don't do it. Don't do it. We want equal parts. So my first thought is to take my fingers and eyeball how I could take 2 fingers, because I know I need about 2 lines, to divide this into thirds, 3 equal parts. And then I would slowly see if I could make them fold on top of one another so that they would be equal. And there is about the best I could do. Is it going to be perfect? No. Eyeball it with your fingers. Use your fingers to help you eyeball what you think the thirds would be. Fold it on one and then have the other one fold over it, and they should match up. And that'll give you thirds. Then you're going to draw lines where your folds are, and I bet you already know we're going to label each part with our unit fractions, which would be 1/3. So 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 would equal how many thirds?
1 whole.
How many thirds? What do you think, Madison? Can you say it? 3. 3/3 or 1 whole strip. Okay, show me if you need another minute or you need 0 minutes. Okay, another minute.
Got distracted with passing out.
Did anyone not get blue and red?
I didn't get red. I didn't get blue. That was the worst, right? Oh, no, wait, I did get blue.
All right, let's go ahead. and get our red strip. Any idea what's next? Sunny, what are you thinking? Fourths, she's right. How could I divide this into fourths? Lucas, what do you think? Don't do it yet, just listen. Can you say instead of this, use some fraction words? Fold it in half. And now I have 2 halves, but I want fourths. Make it another half because 2 times 2 equals 4. So you do it in half, do it in half again, and then you have fourths. So 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 equals how many fourths? 4 fourths or 1 whole?
Next comes water. Nope, we have water. Yeah, but we need to put the fractions on right there. Yeah. In fact, like it's in a the fractions getting it so the fire precious Four. Yeah, corn is a fish. Yeah, there's no salt in this. I started before fire. It was really on a roll. Fire, flame, fire.
Ready to rock? You should now get your blue strip. Okay, guys, I think we're ready. Listen up. Go ahead and get your blue. Now, we could do fifths, but they're really hard. So we're going to skip fifths. We're going to go to sixths. So, don't do it yet. Just listen. I need some thinking, some ideas. Is there anybody at home who could explain? I did all mine. I just got to do these. Yeah, you're fine. I forgot. Sorry. That's what I realized. They got stuck under papers. Serene, how might I show sixths?
So you can fold it in half.
I don't want, oh, maybe. Okay, go ahead. Keep talking.
You can fold it in half.
Listen.
And then fold it in half again, like 4.
Nope, that won't work because then we have fourths. We need sixths.
No, and then you can fold it.
Nope, that will not work. Don't do it in halves if you're going to do it in half.
I did it.
Do you want to explain how, Henry?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So first you divide it like this.
What does like this mean? Can you use fraction words to help me?
First you divide it into a second, which means you make a little tiny rectangle.
Okay.
Fold in half.
That's not what he's showing me.
You don't fold it in half.
You could fold it in half, but you can't fold it in half twice because then you're gonna have force, and we don't want force. But if I did half, all right, let me show you guys. Watch. You could start in half. Don't do it, just watch. Then I would have to eyeball it because watch. I want 6. What is 2 times what equals 6? 3. So I could divide it into thirds. So I would have to eyeball my thirds once it's in half and go like this. Whoopsie, a little bit more. Like so, and then like so, right? I could do it that way and I would get 6. But that's not the only way I can do it. Okay, we'll watch and see if this works better. I could also do it, guys, instead of having a side conversation, I want you to listen so you'll learn. I could go back to my thirds. Why would I go back to my thirds? Lila, why?
Because 6 is 3 times 2, and your third is 3 threes.
So she's saying 6 is 3 times 2, and my thirds are 3 threes. So if I went ahead and did thirds again, just watch, eyeballing my thirds, right? Fold it to about the halfway point there where I'm going. Once I have thirds, what do I have to do to my thirds to get 6?
Do it again.
Not do it again, that would be ninths. Well, fold this into what? Nope, don't want to unfold it. What do I fold? I have 3s here. 3 times what equals 6? So I have to fold it in half. And then I would have 6. Either way you do it will work. You can start with thirds and fold your thirds in half and you'll get 6. Or you could start with half and fold your half in thirds to get 6. Whatever way you want to do it is fine. Both ways will give you 6.
Can I have a different blue one, please?
Just do it again. No, I'm not giving more out. I don't know. Just redo it and just draw on it correctly. If you mess up with your folding, just try again, and then with your pencil, write in the correct ones. It'll be fine. So we have halves, we have fourths, we have thirds, we have sixths.
I got 5. I accidentally ripped mine trying to fold it.
Uh-oh. That's the only one I've got. Guys, just do your best. I don't have any more. Everybody's asking me for new ones. I can't be giving out another set. Sorry, just do your best. Yes, sir, Nay.
I'm not asking anything.
Well, just go back and fix it to the best you can and put lines. Draw your lines where you know they should be, not on the folds that you have that they shouldn't be. So just fold it in half and then fold it in thirds, or fold it in thirds, then fold it in half. And then draw your lines where you want them to be, okay? So, honey, that's messed up. Get your pencil. Start drawing. Show me if you need 1 minute or 0. Well, you're going to get 1 or 0. Okay, a couple ones. So, honey, are you doing it?
So it doesn't even know I fixed my fire problem. I don't do that anymore. Fire's on our team now. Oh yeah, that was a good idea. Oh no, that's what I want to say. I don't want that. That is not a dragon. That's an elephant. Yeah, I already did that. Now I can control myself. Yeah, guys. So you saw for that's great stuff. It's sort of like water. Now I have water. Sorry. My cord died. No, keep burning it. Cool, I made it on fire. Now you have to use the blue to as water. This is the ashes. I'm lagging so much. Look, Halloween colors. I'm recording the other report. Abby, look. Abby, look. I'm you can trust Lila. You can trust me.
Okay, what do you think is next? Sevens, but I think those would be really frustrating. So we're gonna skip sevens and go to one that's pretty easy. Eights. But let's learn. We're not going to get your orange. We're not gonna fold till we listen, right? So who thinks they know how, after hearing what we did to get six, how could we get eights? Anybody at home? I'm gonna stop sharing for a minute so I can see you. Let's see, how could I get eights? I see Astria's thinking lyric. What do you think? So guys, I know you're thinking and sharing good ideas, but let's listen to lyric. Voices are off. Turn around. Go ahead, lyric. Unmute. You're muted. I don't know why you're still muted. No, it's actually got the muted. Lyric is. We're going to try to unmute you, Lyric. Let's see if Mrs. Harrison can do it. Yeah, that's all. There you go. Yay. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, there's no like unmute button options. There's no options.
Oh, well, you did it. We all hear you. So go for it.
Okay. So you fold it like in half.
Okay.
Then you fold it again.
So now we'd have fourths. How do we get eighths out of fourths?
You just fold it one more time.
In half again. How did you know that? You're right.
Because I messed up on the other one and I had to cut off 2 pieces.
Okay. Does anyone else have an explanation why that would work, Sunny Poe?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8.
Okay, Sunny said 4 times 2 is 8, or 4 plus 4 is 8, so you just have to fold it in half again. So let me show you what that will look like. We're going to take our strip, fold it in half. Now we have halves. We're going to fold our halves in half again. Now we'd have fourths because 2 times 2 is 4. Now we're going to fold our fours in half again. Don't keep going though, because you'll end up with like 16ths. We don't want 16ths. So now we were looking for 8ths. 4 times 2 is 8. So open up you should have 8 equal parts. And then let's label each one 1/8. All right, that one should be pretty simple. If you didn't hear lyric, fold it in half 3 times and you will get 8s. Much simpler than 6, don't you think? So notice that every fraction you're writing is a unit fraction. That all of these fractions, if you added them together, Sawyer, the sum or answer would equal what? 1 whole. So that leads me to our last strip to show us that all of these are actually 1 whole. That's 1 whole. That's like your whole candy bar. WHOLE. OLE. 1 whole. Not a hole in the ground, not HOLE. You got to add that W in front, that silent W. One whole. All right. What do you notice about all of these fractions and these bars? Charlie Carr, what do you notice? Thank you, Abby. Sawyer and Charlie and Lila, let's have your attention. Charlie's going to share. What do you notice about these fraction bars? What can you see? What do you see? What do you notice? There's no wrong answer because you're just noticing, right? Okay, they all have fractions. Madison? It's a rainbow. Yes, Lila Maris.
I noticed that if you put them together, there's only a little bit of space until you get to the yellow and the green and the purple.
Okay, but I'm asking you, what do you notice about this, honey? What do you notice when you look at them like this?
I noticed that
Sawyer, come sit right by me. Right here, bring all your things. Sit next to me,
each
please.
one's smaller or bigger, and if you put 2 next to each other, it's either a quarter bigger or another.
So they're different sizes, right? What happens as we go down? Of course, if I took the whole out. What happens as we go down? Bird, what do you notice about the parts? What happens as we go down? Up, except I would have to do, how did my 4th get there? It got backwards. Whoopsie. Do they get bigger or smaller, the parts, Bird? Each section, does it get smaller or does it get bigger? They get smaller. What happens to that denominator as it goes down, Cooper? The denominator's getting bigger. Lennox, what do you notice about the numerators on all of these fractions? The numerator remembers the top number of the fraction. What is the numerator for all of these fractions? It's what? 1. What do we call all of these fractions? What are they called? Microphone answer. Max Fox, I need you to turn around and give me whole body. Thank you. They're called what, Max Fox? Nope, help them out, class. What are they called? Unit fractions. They all have a 1 in the numerator. All right, let's go ahead. You are going to put those to the side. Just keep them close. And we're going to turn to page 353. We're going to use our bars to help us with this activity. Okay, so we're going to shade each fraction bar to show the fraction. But before we can do that, first you have to divide the fraction bar into the correct unit fractions. So you can see what they did with the first one, 1/6. First, they divided the bar into 6, just like we did with our strips, right? We're on page 353, Josh, in our workbook. So the key to this is looking at the denominator first. That is how we are going to find what to divide our fraction strip or bar into. So we looked at this example was 1/6, right? And then you see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We did that with our fraction bar. That's what they did. And then they shaded just 1 because the numerator is what? Lucas, what's the numerator? 1. So they shaded just 1/6 of it. We are going to do the same thing, and you're going to notice that these are not all unit fractions. So we're going to have to really think. Let's do number 2 together. It says 2/3. What do you think we're going to divide our bar into? Are we going to divide it in halves, thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths? Ellie, what are we going to divide it into? Thirds. So here's what I want you to do. Above it, I can see my third is right there, and my third is there, because I know that is 6. And remember what we did before? We said a third, we could divide ours into thirds and then divide them in half to get 6. Go ahead and try to line up your pencil and draw a line to make your thirds by using the bar above it. You're going to do that right now. We're on page 353, Sergey. Charlie, can I have whole body turn around? Let Max do his work. Sawyer, do you want to move right here where you can see?
Sam, that was great.
Come right up here, right here.
Yeah, 353.
All right, who thinks they know what we're going to do next? What are we going to do next, Paxton? It says first divide your fraction bar into the correct unit fractions. What else do I have to do? What do the directions say? Shade it. How do we know how many sections or equal parts to shade? Where do we find that information? Paxton. We got the number that we needed to divide it into by looking at the denominator. What number do we look at to see what to shade? It's not the denominator, it has to be which number? Very good, the numerator. What is the numerator, Paxton? Help them out. What is it? What's the numerator? 2. So now I want you to take your pencil and shade 1/3 and then shade the other third so that you have shaded 2/3 of your fraction bar. Okay? need to get this done. All right, let's look at number 3. Cooper, what is the fraction for number 3? 7 what? What number is that? It's an 8, and then we add that THS sound, right? 7, 8. Say it with me. 7, 8. Did you get the THS? Yeah, it kind of tickles my tongue. So, if we are going to divide our bar into equal parts, I have to look at the down number, the denominator. What is that, Cooper? 8. So I'm going to divide my bar into 8s. Any suggestions? How do I do that, Cooper? What did we do with our strip? Look at your strip that we folded. What did we do to get 8s? How? How did we get 8s? Folded it how? How? Anybody? Haley Booker, what did we do to get 8s?
We fold it in half 3 times.
So remember, we heard from Lyric. She said to get 8s, you have to divide it in half. Divide it in half again to get 4ths. Divide it in half again to get 8s, because 4 times 2 is 8. So let's do it. You kind of have to eyeball it. So I'm going to find my halfway mark and put a line. Go ahead and do that. And then you have 2 equal parts. Then you have to eyeball each of those parts and divide those in half. So now I'm looking at this. I'm going to divide that in half. I'm going to look over at this rectangle and divide that in half. Am I done? August, is that 8? That's 4ths, right? So how do I get 8s out of my 4ths? How do I make this 8? Max Deeper. 4 times what is 8? 4 times 2 is 8. So what do I have to do to each of these sections? I have to divide those in half. Let's do it. Eyeball it. I'm going to divide that in half. This one in half. This one in half. And this one in half. Now it's not perfect, but it's the best I got. All right. Give me a thumbs up when you think you have yours divided into 8s. I see a lot of people got it. Now, what is the next part, Madison? I have to shade. I want you to listen and watch.
We have to shade
7 of them. So watch, so you know what to do, Cooper. Here's my first. Right? You're going to only do 7. Here's 1. Count with me. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I ate 7/8 of my Tic Tac bar. I left 1/8. All right. I'm going to see if you can do the next one by yourself.
I just did.
2 4s. First, you're going to divide into 4s, right? Then you're going to shade 2 of them. So divide into 4s, shade 2, because it's 2 4s. See if you can do it. If you did that one and you think you can go ahead, you may. Just a reminder, you need them to be in equal pieces. We don't expect them to be perfect, but they do need to be closer. They need to look about as even as you possibly can. So another thought, guys, count your pieces to make sure. Some of you have tips for four. If you look on this one, my friends, this one, I want you to look right here. There's eight. She needed 8, right? But how many lines did she actually draw? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Did she draw 8 lines? No, she only drew 7 because that last line on the end really is her last line. So make sure that you're not drawing 8, like for what if you need. I think that's what's happening. Fourths, yep, I think that's what is happening too. So if it's fourths, don't draw 4 lines, only draw 3 to make the 4th section. So if you didn't hear Mrs. Harrison, she said to remember, if you are dividing in 8s, you're really only going to use 7 lines. If you're dividing into 4s, you would have 3 lines, but you still want them to be equal parts. Don't just draw lines. Equal parts. All right, I'm going to go ahead and show you what you should have gotten for 2 fourths. You should have divided it into half in half first. Divided your halves in half. And then let's check Mrs. Harrison's theory. 1, 2, 3 lines gave me 4 equal parts, right? Now I want to shade it. Only 2 of those equal parts. So you should have done 1, 2, which is really a half, right? Give me a thumbs up if your drawing looks similar to that. Awesome. Elena, how'd you do?
The last one.
Did you get 2 fourths? You did? Okay, let's look at 5, 6.
I'm only drawing.
Who can tell me how to divide this into 6? Max Fox, how should I divide my bar into 6?
What I just did,
Uh-huh.
I looked at the one at the very top.
Okay, but I need to know how to divide it into 6 with the denominator, the one on the bottom. Oh, you mean you looked up at this?
Yes.
Oh, okay, look at what Max is saying. He looked at number 1 because it's already divided into. That's brilliant. You could line it up with your pencil, right?
Yeah, but then what it did is I basically, when I just was about to line it up, I realized I didn't want to go through it, so I just went over it, just like to skip it.
Okay, so he had to think, okay, I'm just gonna kind of line it up. See how he would do that? You guys could use like a ruler, or you could use like your mat, another spiral or something. Did anyone do differently to get 6? Lila Maris, how did you divide it up?
What I did is, I made it into fourths.
Which is 7. Oh, that's for that one. Okay. Got it. Okay, go
So
ahead.
what I did is I divided it into fourths, and then
You don't want to divide it into 4s. You could do it in half or in thirds and then divide that.
Or some of us cheated. This one was already 6. So
Well, that's what you did last one.
yeah, so
That's what Max did. But who,
I divided it into fourths, and then
okay, you don't want to divide it into 4s. It's going to be wrong. So I'm going to stop you there. Serena, did you do something with thirds or halves?
I kind of first I split it in half.
Okay, first she split it in half, okay? And then split it into what? Thirds. Those are thirds, right? Each half would be in thirds. Or Or you could have divided into thirds and divided those thirds in half. Okay, 5, 6. How many am I gonna color in, August? How many, what's the numerator or the top number? 5. So you should have shaded how many? 3, 4, 5. All right, looking at the last one, we're looking at 8. Ellie. How do I divide that into 8?
So first you split it in half.
Okay, I gotta eyeball it and split it in half, okay? Then what?
And then you kind of divide each side into 4.
Okay, by dividing them in half again, right? So I've got 4 by dividing them in half again. Now what do I do with all those? Divide them into what? Half again. Each section, you divide those halves into halves, just like we heard from Lyric when she said you divide it in half 3 times. How many am I gonna color, Max Eastberg? What's the numerator? 1, 2, 3. So those are not all unit fractions. Why, Haley Booker, are those not all unit fractions? Only the first one. Why are the rest of these not unit fractions?
Because they don't have 1.
They don't have one as their what? Numerator. Let's practice saying that, everyone. Numerator. Say it again in a high voice. Say it in a deep voice. Ooh, I hear that ooh, that you after for up. That's what we're gonna remember. That you and numerator for up. Now D for down, denominator. Say it with me, D. Denominator. And a whisper. Denominator's down. You'll get used to that new vocabulary. Thank you. All right, let's see. We've got just a couple minutes here. How are we feeling about fraction bars? Okay, give me a thermometer. Those are called fraction bars because they're wide like a candy bar. So we are going to also look at fractions on a number line, but Mrs. Harrison, I'm thinking of some Think Central time and splitting this lesson up because this is a whole nother skill and that we're about out of time. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to stop here. We'll start here tomorrow with fractions on a number line. I think what I'm going to let you guys do is take the next, well, you're only going to get about 8 minutes or so if you're here. If you're at home, you'll get a little more. I'm going to give you some time to work on Think Central, especially most of us have not even gotten through 7.1. Now, if you are caught up with all of them, then lucky you. But you can start on 7.2, which has been assigned to you. When you get to the number line section, you can stop and save and close. Just do the fraction bar section, okay? Any questions? Any questions? All right, kiddos, then good job today with fractions. We will see you tomorrow. Haley, I see you.